The creature hits Scout's collar camera in the very first second. A pale arm flashes across the lens, long fingers dragging bark-white skin as the dog skids through wet leaves. A hiss rises behind him, sharp, human-shaped, wrong. Scout, a 4-year-old border collie, yelps and bolts deeper into the trees. The camera shakes with every desperate stride. Something tall follows, fast. Its footsteps land too soft for its size. Then, a low thump, like a hand slapping a trunk, echoes through the dark. The creature breaks left, then right, stalking with purpose, never rushing, always closing. Scout whines, slowing, trembling. A branch snaps. A face leans into frame, eyes reflective, focused, aware. Evan's voice, faint and distant, Scout, drifts through the woods. The creature hears it. Its eyes widen. Its jaw shifts. It leans closer to the camera as if recognizing something far more important than the dog. And then it moves, vanishing in a single silent blur. Why did its eyes recognize him? Evan Hale, a 32-year-old forestry worker, sits alone at his kitchen table, staring at Scout curled beneath the window. The dog won't lift his head, won't wag, won't even look at the door. Evan can still hear that faint echo in his memory, his own voice carried back at him from the trees. He tells himself it was just distance, just wind playing tricks, but the lie thins fast. When he finally plugs in the collar camera, his hands shake harder than the footage. The loading bar crawls. Scout whimpers once and hides under the chair, paws over his snout. Evan's breath thickens in his throat. Something inside him already knows the video shouldn't be played. But he clicks anyway, hoping for answers, fearing them even more. The footage begins with static, then a jolt of motion. Evan leans closer, the glow sharpening the lines in his face. Scout whines, as if remembering something he desperately wants to forget. The first frames show the forest floor racing past, then a flash. White, tall, wrong. Evan freezes the video. The creature's hand fills the screen. Fingers too long, skin cracked like dead wood. He steps back from the table. Every instinct screams to close the laptop, but he can't. He scrolls forward. A hiss crackles through the audio, rising like words that never fully form. A thump echoes. Evan's throat tightens. Then the frame where it leans close, eyes reflecting the moon like a lens. The moment it hears him calling Scout, Evan stops breathing. The creature reacts. It recognizes him. Evan slams the laptop shut. The room instantly feels too quiet, too thin. Scout presses against his leg, trembling so hard his collar jingles. Outside, the wind shifts, brushing the cabin with the softest whisper, like someone exhaling through their teeth. Evan moves to the window and peeks out, heart pounding against his ribs. The tree line stands dark and still, but a single pine branch sways the wrong way, against the wind. He steps back from the glass. The silence deepens. Scout lets out a low, broken whine that scrapes right through Evan's nerves. Whatever Scout saw out there, whatever he ran from, it didn't stay in the woods. It followed them. Evan stays awake long after the cabin settles. Every creak sounds like steps. Every gust feels deliberate. Scout lies under the table, eyes fixed on the door, as though expecting it to open. Evan tries convincing himself the creature is far away, just something caught in the lens at the wrong moment. But the way it leaned into the camera, the way its eyes dilated at his voice, it wasn't reacting to the dog. It was studying him. The footage was never just a chase. It was a meeting. Evan grips Scout's collar, feeling the dog's tremors pulse against his palm. Somewhere outside, a soft tapping brushes the nearest window. Not wind, not branches. A rhythm. Slow. Intentional. Evan wakes to a stale, heavy quiet. one that feels heavier than sleep. Scout is already pacing, nails ticking on the worn planks, glancing at the windows as though expecting something to look back. Evan forces himself to breathe steady, to pretend they're just reacting to a nightmare. He tells himself the creature was a trick of the lens, nothing more. But even now, the image of those reflective eyes presses against the back of his mind like a thumb on a bruise. He steps outside and the cold stings his lungs. The forest stands still, but wrong, like it's waiting. Scout stops at the bottom step, tail dead still. Evan kneels, lifts the collar camera and hesitates. The device feels colder than the air. He whispers, "We imagined it." But Scout's low growl answers for him. Something out there heard them. And it remembers. Evan spends the morning forcing normalcy. Chopping wood, checking the generator, wiping frost off the truck windshield. Every task feels thin, flimsy, like he's layering chores over panic. Scout follows him step for step, head low, tail tucked, listening to things Evan can't hear. When a branch snaps deep in the forest, Evan drops the axe. The sound echoes too cleanly, too measured. Not random, not wind. He tells himself it's an elk, maybe a hunter. Anything but the truth crouched in his memory. He retrieves the axe with numb fingers, pretending the tremor is from the cold. Scout whimpers and nudges his thigh, pushing him toward the cabin. Evan hesitates, staring into the trees. Something shifts in the shadows. Slow, deliberate. He backs away without looking away once. Back inside, Evan replays the first seconds of the footage again, even though every instinct wants him to delete the file. Scout whines and hides behind the couch. The moment the video window opens, Evan mutes the audio, but the silence feels worse. He studies the creature's posture, the tilt of its head, the way it leaned in as if drawn by his voice. It wasn't chasing Scout at all. It was approaching the camera, approaching him. The connection lodges in his chest like a stone. Evan pauses on the frame where the creature vanishes sideways in a single blur. "Animals don't move like that," he whispers. Something taps softly on the porch. Evan closes the laptop instantly. Scout begins barking. Short, panicked bursts. Evan steps back. Something is on the other side of the door. Evan grips the doorknob but doesn't turn it. The tapping stops. Total silence follows. Thick, suffocating, so complete it feels intentional. Scout backs up until his hind legs hit the wall. Evan forces himself to look through the small side window. At first, he sees nothing. Then the snow-dusted porch boards shift slightly, bending under a weight he can't see. A faint pattern of footprints stretches away from the cabin. Long, narrow, spaced almost too evenly. Not walking. Positioning. Evan's pulse hammers. He steps back from the window, keeping the prints in sight until they fade into the tree line. The creature wasn't approaching. It was marking distance, measuring, testing. Scout's teeth chatter in fear. Evan realizes the thing isn't just nearby. It's learning him. Night falls too fast. Evan lights every lamp, though the warm glow only makes the windows look darker. Scout stays glued to his side, ears trembling, eyes tracking every sound. Evan tries to distract himself with the radio, but static swallows every station except one. A faint hum that rises and falls in slow, steady pulses. It matches the rhythm of the tapping from earlier. Evan snaps it off. The wind picks up outside, carrying a low groan through the trees, almost like a voice stretched thin. Scout growls, backing toward the hallway. Evan grabs the collar camera and slips it into his pocket without thinking. The creature is moving again, closer, testing new ways to mimic the world around him. Evan whispers, "It's not just hunting." He feels Scout shiver. It's communicating. The night turns strange long before dawn. Evan wakes to Scout's growl vibrating against the bedroom floorboards. The cabin is black, except for a thin slice of moonlight, slipping through the blinds. Evan listens. At first, Nothing. Then a soft voice calls from outside. His voice. Same tone. Same cracks. Same breath at the end of the word. Scout. Drawn out exactly like the night he lost the dog in the woods. Scout lunges toward the door and then freezes halfway, tail tucked so tight his whole body shakes. Evan's blood goes cold. No echo could twist sound like that. No animal could imitate memory. He creeps to the window and steadies his breath, but the voice rises again, closer now, perfectly measured. Scout, come here. Evan grips the windowsill. The creature isn't repeating sound. It's repeating him. Evan forces himself into the hallway, each step slow, toes gripping the cold floor. Scout follows close behind but keeps his head low, ears flat against his skull. Outside, branches shift, not with the wind, but with weight. Evan grabs his coat and slips out onto the porch. The forest meets him with a suffocating stillness. Then, from deeper between the pines, he hears the imitation again, now stripped of emotion, hollow, stretched. Scout! The voice breaks midway as if the creature is adjusting, refining. Evan scans the woods. No shape, no motion, but something is moving out there. He feels it, watching him learn. Scout presses against his leg, whining softly. Evan whispers, "That's not me." The moment he says it, the voice answers back, perfectly. "That's not me." Evan retreats into the cabin and bolts the door. Scout circles him, panting fast, pacing in frantic loops. Evan's pulse pounds so hard he can hear it in his ears. He grabs a flashlight and sweeps the beam across every window, searching for shadows that don't belong. When he reaches the back window, he freezes. Just beyond the tree line, two black reflective eyes hang motionless, perfectly aligned with his height. The flashlight beam wavers. The eyes don't blink. They don't move. They simply watch, absorbing the light instead of shining back. Scout whimpers and backs away, tail between his legs. Evan lowers the flashlight slowly. The eyes tilt, copying the exact angle of his head. Then they vanish, dropping out of sight, like something folding into the earth. The cabin feels smaller by the second. Evan shuts every curtain, but the darkness behind them feels alive, bending around the walls and listening. Scout eventually stops pacing and settles under the table, though his body stays rigid, ready to bolt. Evan sits on the floor beside him, whispering steady reassurance he barely believes. A new sound rises outside, a scraping, long and slow, like something dragging its fingers down the siding. It moves around the cabin in measured steps. When it reaches the bedroom wall, it stops. Evan holds his breath. After a full minute of silence, a low voice whispers through the wood. Not his voice this time, but something trying to form it. Almost right. Almost human. Scout buries his face under Evan's arm. The whisper repeats, testing a new tone. Evan can't take it anymore. He gets the collar camera from the drawer and sets it on the table between them. The device feels heavier than it should, as though the footage inside has weight. Scout refuses to look at it. Evan powers it on. But before he can open the file, the cabin falls silent again. Not peaceful. Anticipatory. Evan senses it. Whatever's outside is closer than before. He turns off every lamp until the room fades into a dark, grainy silhouette. Scout inches forward and stares at the front door, tail tucked. Then Evan hears it, the softest echo of his own breath pattern coming from the porch. Not a word, just the rhythm of him. The creature is no longer copying sounds. It's copying presence. Evan finally forces himself to open the footage again. The cabin is silent except for Scout's shaking breath under the table. The video flickers to life, and Evan drags the timeline slowly. Stopping on each distorted frame, he notices details he missed before. The creature never looks at Scout. Not once. Every moment, every movement, its focus leans toward the camera. Toward him, he scrolls back, frame by frame. At one point, the creature's eyes narrow, not in aggression, but in concentration, like it's studying an unfamiliar shape. Evan leans closer. He zooms in. The creature's head tilts the exact moment his faint whistle echoes. It reacts instantly, adjusting posture, as if processing him. Scout whines, pawing at Evan's leg, but Evan can't look away. The creature wasn't hunting. It was learning. Evan scrubs the footage back to the moment Scout first bolts. The dog's frantic breathing fills the speakers, but deeper beneath it lies another sound. A soft clicking, irregular at first, then steady. The creature's footsteps, not random, a pattern. Evan leans close, isolating the audio. The clicks match the cadence of his own walk across the cabin floor. Same rhythm, same spacing. The creature was copying him even before it saw the camera. Scout paws at the floor, pacing tight circles, ears flat. Evan whispers, "It was practicing." His stomach knots as he scrolls forward. The next clip shows the creature crouched low, palms pressing into the dirt as if testing the ground, learning how he moves, how he sounds, how he walks. The realization chills him. This thing studies its prey like a mirror. Evan pauses at a frame he skipped earlier. Scout slowing down, turning his head, confused. Behind him, half hidden in the branches, the creature rises from a crouch. It moves with slow precision, not to attack, but to observe. Evan zooms in until pixels distort, but the shape remains unmistakable. The creature holds a small twig between two long fingers, running its thumb across it in measured strokes. It's copying sound again, testing textures, seeking friction that matches something it heard. Maybe his footsteps, maybe his voice, maybe something older. Scout whimpers and rests his head on Evan's knee, trembling. Evan whispers, "It's building you." The thought crawls through his chest like ice. The creature isn't reacting to him, it's constructing him. Evan scrolls to the last clear moment before the chase becomes chaos. Scout stumbles. The camera drops low, and the creature steps into full view. Now Evan sees what he missed before. Its eyes don't shine like an animal's. They swallow light, reflect nothing. Each slow blink looks deliberate, thoughtful. As Evan watches the creature tilt its head, a faint chill drifts through the cabin. The creature isn't just mimicking him. It's trying to understand intention, motivation, what makes him call, breathe, move. The footage crackles, and on-screen the creature suddenly shifts its jaw, teeth sliding slightly, as if practicing shape again, not speech, but preparing for it. Evan's breath thins. It isn't learning his voice, it's learning how to use it. Evan reaches the final usable frame. Scout standing rigid while the creature leans so close. Its breath briefly fogs the lens. The moment Evan's distant voice calls from somewhere off-screen, the creature reacts with sudden intensity. Its pupils widen. Its head jerks sideways toward the sound. And its expression changes, subtle but unmistakable. Recognition. Evan stares at the screen, throat tight. The creature didn't just hear him that night. It identified him, chose him. Scout growls softly, nudging Evan's arm as if urging him away from the screen. Evan closes the laptop slowly, darkness swallowing the room again. He whispers to himself, "It knows me." And somewhere in the woods outside, something answers with a low, distant echo of his breath. Night crushes the cabin like a closing fist. Evan sits with his back against the wall, every lamp off, Scout pressed tight against his leg. The quiet is wrong, too heavy, too expectant. Then a single tap hits the window. Not a knock, a test. Evan holds his breath. Another tap follows, spaced exactly the same as the sound of him setting his mug down earlier. A perfect match. Scout growls so low, it barely vibrates the air. Evan moves toward the window. Slow, careful, his heartbeat booming in his ears. A shadow slides across the glass, tall and thin, moving with the measured ease of something that knows it doesn't need to rush. Evan freezes. A third tap lands. Same rhythm, same cadence. The creature isn't trying to get in. It's trying to speak. The tapping stops. Evan waits, muscles locked. Scout stares at the door, tail trembling. A soft scrape drags across the siding, moving from window to window, like fingers tracing blueprints. Evan follows the sound along the wall, his steps slow and silent, matching the creature's pace without meaning to. The scraping halts beside the back door. Evan grips the doorknob despite every instinct screaming to back away. He listens. The creature breathes, quiet, controlled, almost calm. Evan recognizes the rhythm instantly. It's his own breathing pattern, down to the shallow catch on the exhale. The creature isn't just mimicking him, it's practicing him, rehearsing him. Scout whines, low and broken. The breath on the other side of the door stops, and then, impossibly, Evan hears his own voice whisper through the wood. "Let me in!" Evan backpedals, heart hammering. Scout darts in front of him, barking sharply at the door, but the sound comes out strained, frightened. Evan grabs the flashlight and sweeps it toward the windows, searching for movement. The beam catches a tall outline near the pine line, motionless, waiting. The creature turns its head slowly toward the light, and for a second, Evan sees its eyes return the beam, not with reflection, but with absorption, swallowing the brightness into a void. The creature raises a long arm and presses its palm against the window from the outside, fingertips dragging downward in slow, perfect sync with the shaky breath. Evan exhales. Scout's growl dies in his throat. The creature is matching every sound, every movement, as if trying to become him. The creature retreats into the dark, but not far. Evan watches its silhouette shift between the trees, tracing slow circles around the cabin. It's not pacing. It's studying. Testing weak points, Scout paces with it inside, tracking its movement perfectly, as if instinct alone can sense the creature's path. Evan drags a dresser in front of one door, a chair in front of another, stacking anything heavy he can find. Scout watches him, ears twitching with every thump. Outside, the creature taps again, this time in a new rhythm. Evan freezes. The pattern matches the sound of his footsteps earlier when he walked across the room. Every pace, every pause, every subtle shift of weight. The creature isn't random. It's recording him in real time. The cabin finally falls quiet. Evan's barricades stand firm, though the wood feels too thin, too fragile. Scout curls beside him, but his eyes stay locked on the front door, unblinking. Evan strains his ears, waiting for the next sound, the next mimicry. Minutes pass, maybe an hour. Then, a soft echo rises from the porch. Not a voice, not tapping, breathing. His breathing. The creature has memorized every inhale, every pause, every tremble. Evan clamps his hand over Scout's snout to keep him quiet. The breathing grows steadier, clearer, closer. Then it stops. A new sound replaces it. Footsteps on the porch. Slow, careful. His own footsteps. Perfectly mirrored. As if the creature isn't just outside, it's becoming him. Evan doesn't sleep. He sits with Scout in the fading dark, waiting for sunrise to make the fear feel smaller. But the light changes nothing. The cabin still feels like a mouth waiting to close. Evan reopens the footage, unable to stop himself. He drags to the exact frame where the creature first tilts its head. This time he notices something new. Its eyes widen not at Scout's movements, but at the faint echo of his voice drifting from far behind the camera. Not fear, not curiosity, Recognition. The realization ripples through him in a cold wave. "It knew me," he whispers, almost choking on the words. Scout lays his head on Evan's knee, eyes dull with exhaustion. The creature didn't mark them randomly. It marked him intentionally, the second it hurt him. The second it understood he was something worth studying. Evan scrubs back to the moment the creature first reacts to sound. He listens closely, isolating his own voice calling, "Scout." The creature's pupils flare instantly, narrowing into sharp focus. Evan freezes the frame again, studying that instant of connection. Scout whimpers and backs away from the table, fur rising along his spine. Evan zooms in until the pixels blur, but even distorted. The creature's expression stays purposeful, calculated, like it has encountered something familiar, something it recognizes across a gulf of darkness. Evan shivers. The creature didn't learn him from scratch. It already understood enough to mimic him perfectly. The footage isn't showing the beginning of something, it's showing the moment he was chosen. Evan rises from the table and paces, trying to make sense of the unease pulsing through him. Scout follows close, his steps jittery and unsure. Evan stops at the window and peers into the forest. Sunlight cuts through the pines but fails to soften the shadows beneath them. The creature could be anywhere, watching, matching his breath, studying his pauses. Evan tries to calm himself, but a cold truth settles in. Creatures don't study prey this way. They don't mimic rhythm, or posture, or voice with such deliberate precision. This thing is building him piece by piece, reconstructing him from the inside out. Scout presses against his leg, trembling, eyes fixed on the trees. Evan whispers, "It isn't hunting me." The words taste wrong. "It's becoming me." Evan's thoughts spiral as he returns to the footage yet again. He replays the part where the creature pauses behind Scout, inches from the camera. This time he listens. Not to the hiss, not to the forest, but to the subtle shift of breath from the creature itself. Measured, controlled, matched perfectly to his own. Scout crawls under the table, tucking himself so tightly against the corner that his paws tremble. Evan rewinds the footage, playing the breathing against his own. Perfect sync. Every inhale, every hitched exhale, every rhythm. The creature wasn't mimicking sound. It was synchronizing with him. Evan's pulse kicks hard as the truth settles in like a weight. The creature isn't copying him to trick him. It's sensing with him to understand how he exists. By late afternoon, the forest grows unnervingly still. Not a branch moves, not a bird calls. Evan stands on the porch, Scout pressed against his leg, both staring into the unmoving woods. He senses it before he sees it. An invisible shift in the air, like something aligning itself with him from deep between the pines. Then it comes. A soft exhale. Not from the woods, from behind him, inside the cabin. Evan spins. The room looks empty, but the breath echoes again, mimicking the precise tremble in his own. His body seizes with cold fear. Scout backs toward the door, whining. Evan whispers, barely choking the words out, "It's here." And from the dark hallway, a perfect copy of his own breath answers. Scout vanishes in the span of a single blink. One moment he's pressed against Evan's leg, trembling in the fading daylight. The next, the cabin door hangs open, swaying gently, and the woods swallow all sound. Evan sprints outside, shouting Scout's name into the trees. His voice echoes wrong, too clean, too sharp, bouncing back from somewhere deeper than the forest should allow. Panic crawls up his throat. Scout never runs, not without him. Not ever. Evan scans the ground for tracks, but the earth looks untouched, as if something lifted the dog clean off the soil. A low rustle shifts behind him. Evan spins, flashlight trembling. Nothing, just the thick quiet of a forest waiting. Then a soft sound rises from deeper in the pines. Scout's bark, but not right, hollow, rehearsed. A perfect imitation. Evan steps off the porch, heart pounding. Scout's eerie, hollow bark repeats from somewhere deep in the woods, always the same pitch, the same distance away, never shifting closer or far. The creature is baiting him, drawing him in with something it knows he can't ignore. Evan walks faster, hands shaking, the collar camera tucked inside his jacket. The path narrows, the trees pulling tighter around him. Roots twist like claws under his boots. Another bark echoes, but this time it blends with another sound, a low, steady breathing that matches his own. Evan freezes. His breath stops. The echo breath stops. He takes one cautious step. The echo takes one. Scout's imitation bark cuts through the quiet again, sharper, closer. Evan whispers, "Where are you?" The woods answer with his exact voice, "Where are you?" The forest shifts. The air feels heavier, thick with cold breath that isn't his. Evan presses forward, driven by a desperate need to find Scout. A shape moves between the trees, a flash of black and white fur. "Scout!" The shape pauses, then tilts its head in a slow, unsettling arc. Too tall. Too still. Too smooth. Not Scout. The creature steps into faint moonlight, its elongated limbs flowing unnaturally as it mirrors the exact tilt of Evan's head. For a long moment, they stare at each other, breathing in sync. Evan feels his body betray him, matching its rhythm, falling into its pattern. The creature steps closer. With each shift, it becomes less it and more him. Evan stumbles back, unable to tear his gaze away. The creature isn't imitating him anymore. It's replacing him. Evan backs away, hand trembling as he pulls out the collar camera. The creature freezes instantly, eyes widening as if recognizing the object, not the dog, the device, the connection. Evan lifts it with shaking fingers. The creature leans forward, slow, deliberate, drawn to the lens like before. Evan realizes the awful truth. This is how it studies. This is how it learns. It needs him in frame. It needs him clear. The wind dies. The forest falls dead silent. Scout's real scent lingers somewhere nearby. Alive. Scared. Hidden. Evan forces himself to breathe steady. He whispers into the camera. "If anyone finds this, it knew me before I knew it." The creature mirrors the words silently, shaping them with its jaw. Evan steps back. The creature steps forward. The exchange is complete. Evan turns toward the deeper woods, clutching the camera. Behind him, the creature waits. Not attacking, not chasing, simply watching with eyes that swallow all light. Scout's faint real whimper drifts from somewhere ahead, raw and frightened. Evan's heart twists. He knows what he has to do. He hits record. The camera beeps. The creature straightens, as if the sound signals some silent agreement. Evan whispers into the lens, voice shaking but steady. "I'm going to get him. If this ends here, don't trust the one that sounds like me." He steps into the darkness, breath quick and shallow. The creature follows at a slow, measured distance, its steps matching his perfectly. The forest engulfs them both. The recording continues, then cuts.